The forest settled early that evening. The last light of day faded slowly between the branches, leaving a soft blue dimness behind. Wind moved only in small breaths, rustling the edges of leaves that had already fallen. Among them, tucked beneath a layer of damp amber and brown, a hedgehog curled into itself. Its spines were dusted with bits of leaf and soil, blending almost perfectly into the forest floor. Only the faint rise and fall of its small body showed it was alive, resting, held by the familiarity of the earth. The ground was cool, but not cold. The hedgehog had chosen a place where roots arched gently above, forming a natural shelter shaped by time and weather. The leaves around it held the day's last warmth, gathered from sunlight that had touched them before the shadows came. The air carried the scent of moss and late autumn, the kind of scent that lingers low to the ground and speaks of slow endings rather than abrupt ones. Somewhere above, a branch creaked softly under the weight of settling birds. Not far away, a boy sat on a fallen log. He was young enough to still be small, but old enough to know how to be quiet in the woods. His coat was buttoned unevenly, and his boots were scuffed from wandering. He held a lantern, not lit, and rested it on his knee, fingers wrapped around the cool metal handle. He had not come looking for anything. He had simply come outside after the house had grown too full of voices and light. The woods, unlike the house, did not demand explanation. The boy did not yet see the hedgehog. The hedgehog did not yet sense the boy. Night deepened gently, not sudden, not sharp. The sky became a deeper blue, then a soft gray, then something near to black. But the darkness did not feel heavy. It felt quiet, like a blanket laid carefully across the forest. A single star appeared through a gap in the branches, then another, and another. Only then did the boy notice a rustle, very small, almost imagined. He turned his head slowly. The lantern remained unlit. His breath was quiet enough not to disturb the leaves. His eyes found the place where the hedgehog lay, though at first it looked like nothing more than a mound of leaves and soil. But as he watched, he saw a tiny movement, an exhale, a subtle shift of spines. He did not move closer. He did not speak. He simply watched. In the stillness of the moment, there was no need to do anything else. The hedgehog remained where it was, warm in its small shelter of leaves. It did not unroll. It did not startle. The forest night was familiar to it, safe, slow, shaped by patterns of breathing and resting. It knew that it was watched, in the way animals know presence without fear. The boy and the hedgehog shared a quiet shaped by the same darkness, the same earth, the same slow turning of night. The woods did not grow louder. The wind did not rise. The moment did not try to become something larger. Night simply promised to keep watch, steady, unbroken, gentle, over leaves and roots, over small lives and quiet breaths, over everything that rested and everything that remained awake. The boy lowered his gaze. The hedgehog slept. The forest held them both. The night settled fully now, and the forest took on the quiet that comes when all daytime creatures have finished their wandering. Moonlight filtered faintly through the bare branches overhead, pale and thin, but steady enough to give shape to the ground. The leaves that covered the hedgehog rustled only when the breeze touched them, a soft sound like breathing layered against breathing. The hedgehog remained curled, small and still, its warmth held not in fire or shelter but in habit. This was how its body had learned to rest when the world cooled. The boy stayed on the fallen log, though he shifted slightly now, pulling his knees closer to his chest to keep in warmth. The unlit lantern rested beside him, the metal base faintly catching a bit of moonlight. He listened to the woods, not for danger, not for surprise, but simply for the quiet patterns. A distant owl called once from deeper among the trees, its voice low and round, not lonely, only present. The boy did not feel frightened. He felt as though he had stepped into a space where everything understood how to be itself, without noise or explanation. He thought of the house behind him, warm, bright, filled with voices that overlapped and tangled. He did not dislike it, but sometimes it felt too full to hear anything beneath the words. Out here, the quiet did not ask anything of him. It allowed him to simply be. His breath slowed to match the pace of the forest, steady and deep. A soft movement came from the leaves where the hedgehog lay. It uncurled slightly, not waking fully, not rising, just stretching enough for its small nose to slip free of the leaves. It sniffed once, tasting the night air. The scent told it everything it needed. No fox nearby, no sharp cold coming yet, no reason to hide deeper. The hedgehog settled again, but not into a tight ball, into something looser, as though the night itself was safe enough to sleep openly in. The boy watched this change. It was small, almost nothing, but it felt like something real, like trust not given directly, but simply allowed to exist. He lowered one hand to the ground, fingers brushing the soil lightly. The earth was cool, textured with bits of bark and roots, and the thin, surprising softness of moss. He did not reach toward the hedgehog. He only stayed close enough to share the moment without altering it. Above them, the wind moved again, slow and smooth, bending the highest twigs of the trees. The canopy whispered softly, a sound woven from 1,000 tiny movements. The leaves around the hedgehog settled back into place. Night was not silent. It breathed, it shifted, it remembered. The boy leaned his shoulder gently against the bark of the log and let his eyes rest partially closed, not sleeping, but no longer fully awake. His breath matched the rhythm of the quiet around him. He felt, more than thought, that he was safe here, not because the forest offered safety in any deliberate way, but because he had allowed himself to become part of its stillness. The hedgehog slept. The boy rested. The night watched, with steadiness and patience. Nothing needed to be said, nothing needed to change. The forest held them both, the way darkness holds light, softly without hurry. The third night was darker, not because the moon had vanished, but because thin clouds drifted slowly across it, softening its glow into something muted and gentle. The forest breathed in long, slow rhythms, branches shifting in quiet arcs, shadows stretching and settling. The hedgehog stirred beneath its blanket of leaves, uncurled only slightly, then tucked itself back into its small, warm shape. Its body responded not to thought but to rhythm. Cool air, steady earth, the clear signal that night still held the world. The boy remained near the fallen log, though now he sat with his back against it, legs stretched out before him. His lantern still rested at his side, untouched. He hadn't noticed the time passing. Out here, the idea of time felt like something belonging to another place. He listened to the woods without trying to understand them, just letting sounds reach him the way water touches stones. A faint drip of moisture from a branch, the soft brushing of a mouse somewhere beneath the undergrowth, the gentle break of a twig far off, not alarming, only part of the forest's slow, constant rearranging. He glanced toward the hedgehog, though his movement was minimal. The hedgehog's breathing was steady even, like a small heartbeat echoing through the leaf-littered ground. The boy wondered briefly how such a small creature could feel so sure, so unafraid, but he did not turn the thought into words. He simply felt it and let it pass. A long, low breeze drifted through the trees, and the leaves overhead shivered softly. It carried the faint scent of cold. Winter not yet here, but approaching. The hedgehog sensed it too. It did not wake fully, but its body adjusted, pulling the warmth of the earth closer. This was not fear. This was instinct, old and quiet and wise. The boy watched, and something in him recognized the same understanding. Preparation made without worry, without resistance. He leaned his head back against the log and looked up. The clouds were thin enough that the moon still showed through, blurred and gentle, as though seen through water. The sky felt close, not distant. The forest canopy framed it in soft, uneven shapes. The boy's breathing slowed to match the night again. His thoughts stopped forming words. He did not remember the noise of the house, the sharp brightness of lamps, the closeness of voices. He did not think of tomorrow or yesterday. He simply existed inside the moment, quiet, steady, unforced. The hedgehog shifted once more, its spines rustling faintly against the leaves. Then it became still again, resting in the warm hollow it had made for itself. The boy lowered his eyes and simply watched the ground breathe with him. Nothing needed to begin. Nothing needed to end. The night did not pass quickly or slowly, it simply was, held by the forest, with the same patience it had shown for years, for seasons, for countless lives, small and quiet and real. The boy did not speak. The hedgehog did not wake. And the night kept its promise, steady and watchful, over everything that chose to rest. The fourth night brought colder air. It slipped gently through the undergrowth, moving the leaves in soft waves, settling into the spaces between roots and stones. The hedgehog felt the change, not as discomfort but as a signal, an old, familiar one. It shifted beneath its layer of leaves, gathering them closer around its small body. The forest floor held a fading warmth from the day, thin but steady, enough for rest to remain unbroken. The boy stayed near, though he now sat lower, closer to the ground. He had drawn his coat tighter, tucking his hands into the sleeves to keep them warm. The lantern remained unlit at his side, no longer something he thought about. Light felt unnecessary here. The night itself was gentle, and the shapes around him were not threatening. Darkness did not close in. It simply existed, wide and even. He watched the hedgehog breathe. The small rhythmic rise and fall of its tiny body against the leaves was so subtle that he would have missed it if he had not already learned the pace of quiet things. He did not reach out to touch it. He understood, even without knowing why, that the hedgehog did not need comfort and did not seek company. It simply was, and he could share that space without breaking the stillness. The wind rustled the trees overhead, branches shifted and sighed, though the sound was never sharp, only soft, like a slow exhale the forest had been holding all day. A fox barked once in the distance, high and short, but the sound did not draw the boy's attention for long. The fox, too, had its own place in the night. The boy lowered himself until he was lying on his side, head resting on the crook of his arm. The ground was firm beneath him, but not uncomfortable, only honest. The scent of earth rose around him, cool and deep, the kind that settles into the mind as much as into the air. He did not feel the need to think. His thoughts drifted the way leaves drift when a breeze decides their direction. He listened for his own heartbeat and found it slow and steady, matching the rhythm of the hedgehog's breath, matching the rhythm of the woods. Time did not move quickly or slowly. It simply passed, in quiet intervals. The moon appeared again when the clouds shifted, pale, softened, without sharp edges. Its reflection touched small patches of still water, caught in hollows between roots and stones. The boy opened his eyes just long enough to see it. Then he closed them again, not asleep, but resting in the same way the forest rested. The hedgehog remained warm beneath its leaves. The boy remained warm inside the night's gentle breath. Nothing changed. Nothing needed to. The forest kept watch, steady, patient, and whole. The fifth night came with a deeper stillness than the others, as though the forest had settled into a steady rhythm and no longer needed to adjust or shift. The air was cool, but not harsh. The leaves that covered the hedgehog held their warmth close, forming a small shelter that felt as natural as the hollow of a hand. The hedgehog slept peacefully, its breath slow and even, its tiny nose tucked safely within the curve of its body. Nothing disturbed it. Nothing asked it to move. The boy remained nearby, though now he sat cross-legged instead of lying down. His posture was relaxed, as though he had become part of the forest floor itself. His coat was pulled around him, his hands warmed by the fabric. He did not hold the lantern anymore. It sat beside him, forgotten, collecting dew on its metal surface. His gaze rested softly on the leaves that hid the hedgehog. Not searching, not waiting, just seeing. The night had learned to trust him, and he, in return, had learned to trust the night. Above them, branches reached across the sky like dark rivers. The moon, no longer hidden by clouds, shone faintly through the tangle of limbs, casting a soft, silvery glow onto the forest floor. The light was thin but gentle, enough to show the shapes of things without defining them sharply. The boy watched the moonlight flicker on a few fallen leaves, each movement slow and unhurried, guided only by the breeze. An owl passed overhead, silent on its wings, leaving the air unchanged behind it. The boy did not look up. He had come to understand that everything in the woods moved with intention, with purpose that required no words. Even the wind had a direction that needed no explanation. The hedgehog remained asleep. Its world was smaller than the boy's, measured in warmth, scent, and the softness of earth. But in that world, there was no lack, no longing, just the simple sufficiency of being. The boy felt something in himself mirror that, a quiet, full stillness that did not require anything more to be complete. Eventually he stood, not abruptly, not as goodbye, but as continuation. The forest did not react, the leaves did not shift, the hedgehog did not stir. He brushed a bit of bark from his coat and breathed out once, slow and calm. He touched the handle of the lantern, then left it where it was. It no longer belonged to the world of light. It had become part of the quiet. The boy walked back along the path that had brought him there, his steps soft and measured. He did not look back because there was nothing behind him that was leaving. The night held everything where it should be. The hedgehog slept beneath the leaves, the forest kept watch. The moon kept time without counting, and the quiet remained, not as a moment, but as the way the world truly is when no one asks it to be louder.